Welcome and thank you for visiting my channel again today. This is John Mazzara with Remax Results in Edina, Minnesota. And today my guest is David Gibbs with Prime Lending. Uh, Both of us work on, through life changes. A lot of people buy real estate based on, getting married, having a baby, getting divorced, dying. So there's generally triggered by life events or when people tend to make moves. And David has gone and done some extra training, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that here in just a moment. But one of his niches that he works in is divorce. And so, in the unfortunate event that you are thinking about going through a divorce, and if you're going to be buying another home, you're going to need a mortgage. And I mean, maybe not, maybe you have enough cash to pay cash for the next home, but more than likely you're going to need some form of a mortgage. And David's going to be able to help you through that process. And once you're approved, then I'm going to be able to help you find that replacement home and or sell your existing home if you have a home, together with your spouse. So with that, I'm going to introduce David Gibbs, Prime Lending. David, tell us who you are and tell us about your experience in divorce and what you can do to help people.
Well, hello, thanks John for having me. Yes, I'm David Gibbs with Prime Lending. I am here today in Woodbury, Minnesota, to share a little bit of information that I have recently learned about how mortgage and realtors all are going to assist in the process of divorce when that reality is facing someone. So I recently completed a training with Professor Kelly Murray. She's a Stanford graduate and Harvard Law graduate, and she is a specialist in divorce. She does training nationwide for judges and attorneys, continuing education to teach those professionals what they need to know to assist their clients. So the thing that we wanted to talk about here today is, well, what does this all look like at a very high level? So what I have done is working with John and then additional partners at a title company and insurance company, we'll be able to cover a lot of the bases that you would need to have covered as you're thinking about going through this process of divorce. So one of the first things that you need to decide and figure out, and this is where I can be most helpful, is if there is a home in play, can I afford to keep a house? If one spouse is going to be a house spouse and one's going to be an out spouse, can we make those numbers work so someone can retain a home for themselves? Or are we looking at a situation where the math doesn't work and we need to engage John to help us get that piece of real estate sold? In turn, then, what John and I can do is help you with the financing pre-approval for a future home purchase with a house that's more right-sized for the budget that you're going to be living with going forward. So a couple of things that we want to look at when we're talking about divorce is to get our paperwork together, our house documents. So those are things like a mortgage payoff letter, a mortgage statement. You're going to want to know how many liens and what liens are on the title to the house. We do that by using the research with a title company. That way the professionals can help us find what we may or may not know about. In the case of nefarious actions by a spouse, we want to know that there aren't any unexpected liens, whether they're mortgage liens, whether they're tax liens, personal liens against the marital home. And I can give a quick example of that. We had a situation here not too long ago where a husband and wife had divorced. The husband retained the home and the wife moved on. They had paid down to zero a home equity line of credit, a second mortgage, to zero. Well, the wife retained the home equity line's credit card, and after they divorced, she decided to charge up that line of credit and maxed it out. Now, the husband didn't know anything about this. He found out when he, down the road, 3 years later after the divorce, tried to sell the house, and now he found out that the wife had been using the house that she and him owned together as a piggy bank when she had no right to do that. So that creates a whole lot of legal situations that the attorneys needed to now get back involved with and deal with, because you potentially have some financial crime committed and financial abuse. This is one of those examples where if a person like myself and John are brought in early in the process, we can help avoid those problems because we'll know exactly what we're dealing with going into this. John, do you have anything you'd like to add?
With regards to, the process of a divorce, sometimes people will want to buy right now. We're getting a divorce, whatever, let's go out and buy. And I know there's the partitioning of the debt, some of the legal things that have to be done in advance of going out and getting qualified. You can't just go out and buy a home unless the other spouse is going to retain a marital interest until after the divorce, and then they deed out. And I know some divorces are semi-friendly, and that can be accomplished, but other times, I don't know that the divorces are that friendly, and then they are trying to get a deed out from somebody. I mean, it could be a condition of completing the divorce, and or saying that the divorce and the mortgage thereof associated with the home has to be refinanced into the other spouse's name, within 30 days, so the other spouse can feel free to go out and buy again without being encumbered for the joint debt. I guess that's one of the things, I guess, that I would stress to the audience is that, this is a collaborative type of effort with regards to helping you or your spouse or both of you move on to the next property. And there are different things that need to be done in kind of chronological order. So partitioning of the debt, having the right language in your divorce decree in conjunction with making the loan application, and preserving your credit so that you can make a loan application. Sometimes I know people say, well, I'm not going to make that payment because it was his or hers. And then they end up trashing their credit. And then that's the cut off the nose to spite the face, because then you can't get them a mortgage because they've trashed their credit. So that's something frequently I see through a divorce, is that sometimes people won't make the payment if they think it's associated only with the other spouse's bills. Yet if it's a joint card, that will come back to haunt them worse than if they'd made that house payment. So again, I wanted to just kind of play off of the collaborative nature that we all need to be involved in. So it's a kind of a three-ring circus where we have the mortgage person, i.e. David, collecting his information, requesting his information, the attorney putting together the proper forms and agreements so that David can continue the mortgage application itself and get through underwriting. And then I can set up the search or searches for the replacement properties and or be marketing the existing home for sale. And we can make contingent offers on things being completed, but even in this market that slowed down a bit, contingencies really aren't working. So it's best to have everything completed, or at least having you have the full understanding of if you're going to buy and your spouse is going to retain some form of a marital interest, that everybody is aware of that. I did have that situation where somebody needed to be in a school with their son before school, started. And so the wife went out and bought, and then the husband sold their home, and then he went out and bought. And so none of the divorce was not finalized, but we were able to put it all together because everybody had talked to everybody and had talked to their respective mortgage companies, and it was an open line of communication to do what we needed to do. So as much as you may dislike that person that you're leaving, you need to be somewhat collaborative, and we're happy to be that intermediary. If you need us to be a neutral, that's what we are. We want to help you and or your spouse accomplish their goals. So with what I just said, David, would you like to take that a little further or comment on any of those things?
Sure. There's actually a kind of a lot there, and I won't take up too much time because this can also be shared one-on-one. If someone is interested in learning more, we'll provide our contact information. The key thing here is getting all your ducks in a row and knowing what you can and can't do, because in my world, in the mortgage world, most everything is black and white. The numbers either work or they don't. If we don't have the credit scores that we need, we can't qualify. If we don't have sufficient income, we may not be able to qualify. My goal is to go into this always with eyes wide open. We're helping and trying to help preserve homeownership opportunities for all parties involved, even if they don't buy a home right away, even if they rent for a little while. We want to preserve that. One of the biggest keys, John touched on it, is the credit. We can't have the credit wrecked as part of the unwinding of the marital home and the marital assets, because that hurts both people and it takes potentially years for credit to recover. I saw a FICO study that was done a few years ago that showed the impact of just a single late on a mortgage payment. It can absolutely be devastating. And the higher your credit is to start, the harder your credit falls just with a simple one late payment. So we want to avoid that at all costs. In the divorce process in Minnesota, you have one major milestone that happens. It's called a summary real estate disposition judgment, and that is done with a judge. That's where most of the assets are already all lined up and everybody knows where everything's going. Where you really need to bring me and John in the initial stages is before those decisions are made, so that we can have the time to do the research and get the information in your hands that you need, so that you actually are getting a fair and equitable distribution of all the assets, whether it's just the marital home or all the other assets that might be here in play. Back to you, John.
Wonderful, David. Thank you. I guess I'll just mention one other thing that I've seen sometimes is when people either can't financially qualify to the level that they want for their replacement home, but feel they can make the payment, or if they have trashed their credit and don't want to become a renter, there is, under the right circumstances, the option of a parent purchasing the home if they have the ability. So if mom and dad have a free and clear home, David could get them a line of credit or refinance their home. They could pay cash then for another home, or they could buy, I'm going to call it an investment property, of which their son or daughter would move into and live there. And then however they worked out their rental payment amongst each other, they could do that too. So we're creative in the sense that if you want to buy a home, it may be with the help of a parent or relative, but we can go down that route as well. And maybe that's what's done if it's a very contentious, ugly situation that is taking years, and yet you can't live in that house, and maybe you have a dog or, you know, 2 dogs and a couple kids, and you just don't have the space. Utilizing the credit and the income of a relative, if they're willing to help short term, that's another thing that David and I can help give you those ideas and talk through. Well, are there parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters who are willing to help? So basically we're a solution, and rather than, I'm going to say, shoot, aim, you need to aim and then shoot. So it's a collaborative approach. It's something that we need to be added to the process, or somebody that's knowledgeable in our world. And we've been doing this an awful long time and have seen lots of things. So I think we would bring value to your situation. Oh, and did I mention the cost of consulting with us? That's right. There isn't any. So
No,
it's free to work with us, free to talk. And we would love to help you in this difficult time if you would like our assistance. So, and we don't play favorites, we're neutral. So, you know, we're going to help the two of you come up with a solution if the two of you would like us to do that. We're not more male friendly or more female friendly or whatever. We're neutral. So just so you know that going in, we're not gonna play favorites. Anything else, David? Otherwise, I'm going to tell everybody thank you and kind of sign off with both who we are.
Yes, no, John, this has been great. Thank you for the opportunity to share and be on the call here with you. And I'll let you wrap it up.
All right, wonderful. Well, thanks again for watching. My name is John Mazzara, Remax Results, Edina, right on France Avenue. I work the entire Twin Cities. I've been doing this since '86, sold over 1,000 homes. So I've done this a couple times. David Gibbs, super experienced, works as a mortgage broker, works with prime lending. He has access to multiple products, multiple programs. Super guy. That's why he's on the call today. Both of our contact information will be in the body of this email, or not this email, of this video when it's posted on my YouTube channel. So thanks again for watching. If we can help, we'd love to. Take care.
Take care.